Last semester, I finally got a 4.0 GPA. I was so proud of myself. My family was so proud of me that they even bought a cake for me so we can celebrate. And everything was great. Why it was great? Because I set a goal at the start of the semester and then I achieved my goal. If you have the same goal, if you want to get a 4.0 GPA next semester, but you're unsure on what to do because you didn't do that before, you haven't got a 4.0 GPA until now, then watch this video because I'm going to share with you all the strategies that I apply, the most important strategies, and I'm going to tell you how you can achieve your goal as well so you can feel good about your accomplishment. Before moving forward, I just want to make a quick announcement. I'm looking for 7 founding members for my school community. So in the school community, you're going to get access to me. We're going to have a weekly call so you can ask me any questions that you have based on your goals, and we can make a strategy for you. You're also going to get access to modules that I'm not going to publish on YouTube, so courses and all that stuff on different topics where I have more time to go in depth, and also I'm not forced to optimize for views or for having a high reach. And you're also going to get access to other community members where you can discuss with them and all that stuff. Now you may ask yourself, what's the benefit of becoming a founding member? Where you're gonna have to pay only once, so you're gonna have one price for the lifetime membership, but then other members who are gonna join later, they're gonna have to pay monthly. So first link in the description, check that link out and I'll see you there. Now I told you I got a 4.0 GPA, but it wasn't always like this. So let me tell you a story. It was back in 2024. I think it was March 2024, and I had my exam. So before the final exam in high school, we get like a simulation and a prep exam where we also get, grades and stuff like that. And, I wasn't prepared for that exam because in my mind, I thought that I'll be prepared, I'll get a good grade and I'll move on. I wasn't really forcing myself to learn or all that stuff because I believed it's gonna be easy, and it wasn't. I'm telling you, it was a disaster. I'm gonna ask my editor to put the grades up, but basically the median was less than 6, which means I failed the exam. If that was a real exam, I would have failed that exam and basically 12 years of school were wasted. I was so disappointed of myself. I didn't tell my parents about it. I didn't tell anyone about it because I felt like a mess. I wasn't even able to get like the passing grade. It was so bad. And I remember that day I opened my laptop and I saw the email from the school principal, I think it was, and my name there, a couple of grades, and I failed. It was shit, I'm gonna be honest with you, it was bad. But one thing that experience helped me and gave me was that I understood that it wouldn't work that way. The way I acted before, by not having a right strategy, not really being, curious about learning or making sure that I'm on top of my homework and my assignments, led me to that situation. Eventually I told everyone because I didn't want to lie. They asked me and I answered, but I didn't have to read their minds to think that, what I did was wrong. I was disappointed of myself. That wasn't a good achievement at all, and I decided that I needed to change something. So that was March 2024. That was the moment I realized I needed to change something. And frankly, I changed something because fast forward, I think it was July 2024, I passed the exam with 8, which is 80% of the grade. Before that, I failed the sample exam, the prep exam, and now I was passing it with more than 80%, which was a good achievement. I think I made that change like 3-4 months, something like that, and that was so good for me. I felt proud again of me. I knew that it's possible. And moving to college, that helped me because I had some strategies, wasn't something amazing, but I had a foundation on which I could build, and later that semester, based on that foundation and the experiences that I had, I was able to get that 4.0 GPA, which I told you made me so proud of myself. And a lot of people don't care about their grades because it's just a grade. Yeah, it doesn't help you and all that shit, but what it does for your competence, for your confidence, that is something that you cannot get while you are in a college or high school. I'm not telling you go full in, because you don't have to go full in to get a 4.0 GPA or get a max grade. You don't have to learn 12 hours a day, but you gotta do something about it. And if you're smart about it, if you're intelligent, and if you're gonna apply the strategies that I'm telling you in this video, you're gonna have more chances of getting there. Now, the first thing I learned is that consistency is more important than volume. Before that, before having this change, I used to learn randomly. I didn't have a schedule. One day I would do something and then I would just waste time for 2 weeks and then start and prepare again. But that didn't help because I wasn't consistent. The information I had in my mind wasn't something that I could build on. There wasn't any strong foundation and I was simply wasting time. Even if I learned something he wouldn't have, stuck with me because I didn't practice on that stuff. So to give an example, I read about Warren Buffett and how he made his investments. So basically, Warren Buffett at 60 years old, he was valued at 3 billion, something like that. But now he's 90 something, 100. In 40 years, he got from 3 billion to being the fifth most richest person in the world. I think he has like 150 billions right now, something like that. What I'm trying to tell you is that the power of compounding, the power of consistency is very important. And now you don't have to wait 40 years to get a 4.0 GPA. But what I'm telling you is that if you learn for every single day, you learn for like 1 hour, 2 hours, the time that you have available, you're gonna have great results. You're gonna have great achievements. And this is exactly what I did. Instead of learning, randomly, I made a schedule. So last semester, what I did is that I woke up at 4 every single morning, and for the next 2-3 hours, what I did, it was just to learn and prepare for that specific day. And it was, I really enjoyed it because I enjoy to wake up early, and then I enjoy to do the hardest tasks first in the morning because that gives me freedom for the rest of the day where I can be social, I can interact with other people, I can go do some fitness and stuff like that. I can have, fun, but as well, I'm gonna have fun while doing the homework first thing in the morning. So it was such a good schedule. I did optimize that. It wasn't something hard, but I did optimize it to have consistency every single day. So 5 days of the week, I would wake up at 4 or something, and then for the next 2-3 hours I would sit down, learn, and do some past papers or what I had to prepare for that specific day. And that built something incredible for me. The consistency I had really made a difference because I didn't have to learn for 12 hours a day. I didn't have to struggle to memorize stuff or to prepare for stuff that I didn't like, or do something that I leave it on, last day before deadline and then have some stress on my head. No, it didn't work like that. By doing it every single day consistently, I managed to have a strategy, and it was like a routine. I got better at it by doing it daily rather than doing it randomly, and this built a habit into me, and that habit gave me some skills about learning, deep learning, getting in the flow state, which as well had some merit to the 4.0 GPA I got. Now this is just the short version, but if you want the full module on how to develop your routine, how to wake up early and all that stuff, I have that in my community. So first in the description, check that community out, become a founding member and get access to all these benefits. The second thing that changed me from being a failing student to being a student, I guess 4.0 GPA and who is proud of himself, was that I didn't leave the homework, the assignment, the preparation until the last day before deadline. And I know this is something that a lot of people do. In my previous class in high school, many of the students and many of the colleagues I had, they were known for doing the stuff before the class or doing it in the break or doing it the last day before exam. Sometimes it worked, I'm not gonna lie and say that it doesn't work, but you don't want to leave it to luck or to chance. You want to be prepared because obviously if you leave it before the deadline, you're not going to have 100%. For sure, there's a very small chance you're going to get 100% done right. But if you prepare, as I mentioned earlier, if you have consistency and if you start learning in advance, if you do your homeworks, your assignments, with 1-2 weeks before the deadline, you're gonna have such a flow and such a wonderful state of life. I remember last year we had to send our papers for my English class, and every time I would be like 4, 5, 6 days before in advance. And because of that, the teacher, because she didn't have any other papers to review, she also did me more in-depth review because I was sending the papers earlier. And that also helps you, that gives you an advantage. If you're moving faster than the other students, if you're moving quicker, more efficient, this also gives you an advantage in the eyes of the teacher, the instructor. And also it gives you more time to practice, it gives you more time to be on top of the situation, and it gives you, most importantly, I would say, peace of mind, which is very, very important. So one thing that I did, it was to set up my own deadlines. And that means that, let's say the deadline for the next assignment is going to be next Sunday. My deadline is going to be Thursday or Wednesday. And by doing that, by having pre-deadlines in a way in my mind, I was able to finish them earlier. I was able to do a better job because I wasn't stressed. I didn't have the pressure on me, and everything went nicely and smooth. And I'm talking about the English class that I told you earlier. I got an A, and also the teacher was very amazed by my work. And I'm not a good guy when it comes to writing essays and stuff like that, But just because I had sent the papers earlier, just because I got an in-depth review and I was able to create more and better papers, that meant that I was able to get an A at that class and also furnish my skills. So one thing that's super important about setting your own deadlines that no one's going to speak about is that you can use this time, you can use the extra days as buffer zones. So for example, one day you're gonna have a bad day. You're gonna have like a flat tire, you're gonna miss the class, you're gonna sleep in, whatever is gonna happen. You may have fever, you may not feel well, and that means that if you have these extra buffer days, in case of an emergency happening, you're gonna be on top of the situation. You're not gonna have to, do work while being under pressure or while being ill. You're going to be able to send the work earlier. I use this concept not only in learning and being at school, but also in my day-to-day life, in working, in everything you do. You can definitely use buffer zones because it helps you. I think I learned about this concept from the book Deep Work or the Essentialist book, something like that. And it really changed, the way I see things, because buffer zones are so important and they're so helpful at the same time. I also have an in-depth module on how to strategize your content and even more in-depth strategies on how to be consistent even on those bad days. So if you want to see that, first link in the description, my community, and join there to be a founding member. The last thing that I did, and I promise you this is so important, I never heard anyone speak about this when it comes to students, when it comes to learning. You gotta make it fun. You gotta make it fun, because if you don't make it fun, you're not gonna last. We talked about being consistent, but if it's not fun, you're not gonna want to show up daily. You're not gonna want to be there daily. So this means you're gonna have such shitty experience. Now you may tell me that learning is not fun. You may tell me that you don't enjoy school. You may tell me that you don't enjoy being in this learning environment. But let me tell you, probably that's not right. For most of my life, I didn't want to go to school because I didn't like school. I didn't feel that I was getting something from it. But when it got fun, and this was in high school, when it got fun, I loved going to school. Even when it finished, I didn't want to finish because it was such an amazing group. It was such an amazing experience. It was such an amazing, social circumstance. And for learning as well, I did get a lot of, knowledge from school. You may argue that it's not optimized for real life, but I think if you see past that, if you see stuff, if you analyze it, there's a lot of experiences that you get from school and from college as well. Everything can be fun if you make it fun. So what I did for making my learning fun is that I treat it as a competition. I treat it as a competition with myself. So I told you about that change that I had in those 3 or 4 months when I went from a failing student to a student that got more than 80% in the final exam. But one important thing that I wanted to tell you about that, it was so fun. I'm telling you, every single day, I did these preparation papers, these past papers in a way, and after doing each one, you could see the results. It was multiple choice, so you could do it like 30 seconds, you could see the results from it. And it was so fun because every day I tried to beat that high score. I tried to get it perfect. So for example, today I got the exercise wrong. The next day I was able to see the improvement because I was able to see the grade getting higher and higher. And it was such an amazing feeling. And I'm telling you, the same thing I did in college with past papers, with homework, with assignments. If you see the score, it gives you such an amazing thing, such an amazing feeling. You're feeling so, energized, and it's like a switch. It makes you want to learn, it makes you want to compete, it makes you want to be there because it helps you. It helps you with your confidence, it helps you with your competence, and these 2 things are very important for you when it comes to achieving your goals. But also I had my friends, my colleagues, so when it comes to, again, that change that I had in those 3-4 months, when I got to school, I was able to discuss with my colleagues the exercise we didn't know to do, how we improved, and we even had some small circles here and there where we would meet and do some homework, do some past papers. But overall, this competition, this state of mind where you're always trying to compete with yourself, you're always trying to beat your high score, to become even better and better, is going to help you. I'm not telling you to compete with others, right? Because most of the time that doesn't help you a lot. And I'm telling you because I've tried to do that in the past, but I never got the results I wanted. Most of the times when I got the results I wanted, it was because I started competing with myself. I started giving feedback to myself. I started seeing where I was wrong, where I failed and how could I improve that? Because most of the time when you compete with others, you're gonna not see your flaws, you're not gonna see your feedback, you're not gonna see your mistakes, you're gonna focus on them, what they do, where they are wrong, or what do they do good, but you're not gonna focus on yourself. So compete with yourself. Make it fun by competing with yourself, by treating it as a game, by giving you constant feedback, by seeing where you can improve, by seeing how you can become better this time compared to last time. And one final thing that I want to tell you is, and also something that people don't talk about, I never heard anyone talk about this, and I promise you, this is going to give you such a big advantage. It's going to make your life easier and simpler in college and in high school, especially in college where you can choose your topics, but choose the topics that you like. Don't do classes that you don't like. It's going to be harder. Yeah, you can also perform in them, but if you want to optimize and have a lot more chances of achieving your goals, of having that 4.0 GPA and feeling that feeling of achievement in yourself, choose the classes that you like, choose the topics that you like, and also check your professors before taking that class. Now, I must admit to you, most of the times, in my freshman year, I didn't have the chance to choose the professor I liked because they were already taken. But also the professors that had bad ratings, I was so surprised to see that they're very good as well. So I don't know who's giving those bad ratings on Rate My Professor or Corsical, but I'm telling you, I didn't have any professor that I don't like until now. If you do what they say, if you choose a topic that you like, that's it. Now, one thing is clear. If you watch this video until here, it means you want to take action. It means you want to change your life and you want to become a person who's closer of achieving your goal of having a 4.0 GPA. So I'm telling you, I'm asking you, do the action points that I'm going to give you. The first action point is to build a routine and become consistent in learning. The second action that you have to do is to set your own deadlines and don't leave your learnings or your assignments until the last day. And the third thing, which is I think is the most important thing, if there's one thing that you can take from this video, is this one thing, is to make it fun, make it feel competitive with yourself, and also find other ways you can make it fun, either by choosing the topics that you like, by integrating friends or social circumstances in that, or by any other way that it makes you feel better and it gives you more results. Finally, if you want to become a founding member, have access to calls with me every single week, have accountability with me and other members, having in-depth modules that you won't see on YouTube, then what you need to do is go on the first link in the description, check my school, and become a founding member now. I'm gonna see you there. And one thing I want to tell you guys is this: win your mornings and conquer your days.